Hello, everyone. Welcome to another AuthorNet cybersecurity presentation. This presentation is an introduction to cybersecurity for business owners. And we're going to explain the ins and outs of cybersecurity so that business owners can protect themselves from a cyber attack. Let's start with what is cybercrime. Many people don't know exactly what cybercrime is. Well, cybercrime is a method of attacking a company with theft, extortion, or blackmail in order to get money from that company. We need to protect ourselves from that type of attack as we protect ourselves from a physical attack. We put locks on doors and windows. We have access control, closed circuit TV, and intruder alarms to keep bad people out of our businesses, to stop theft. And we have to do the same thing with our computer systems, because our computer systems are the target of attack. And I'll explain exactly how the criminals attack our computers to extort and blackmail our companies. Unfortunately, cybercrime is big business worldwide. The expectation is that the cost to businesses will be around $11.5 trillion. That's trillion. A huge amount of money, much more than any type of physical attack that a business could expect. One of the characteristics we see is that criminals attacking big companies much less, and they're attacking smaller companies much more. In the past, criminals have attacked big companies. They've been able to extort or steal millions of dollars, and there were fewer attacks. Now, big businesses are well protected. Most big businesses have installed cybersecurity technologies and techniques to protect themselves from attack. And so the criminals have turned to smaller businesses that don't have a lot of cybersecurity protection. And so instead of stealing maybe $5 or $10 million, the average extortion is around $500,000. That was at least the amount in 2021. Now it's going to be a lot higher. The criminals attack smaller businesses much more frequently. They've been able to automate the attack process using new technology. And so, for example, in 2020, 700,000 small businesses were attacked. In 2023, that's going to be well over 1 million, probably 1.5 million. Now, what do small businesses have in the way of cyber protection? Well, around 58% have antivirus software. Around 49% have firewalls. And 44% have VPNs, virtual private networks for secure remote access, encrypted remote access. The important techniques that all big businesses have, banks, large businesses like Amazon, is two-factor authentication, and that's less than 1% of small businesses. And we'll explain what that is during this presentation. So thieves break into business computers to access information. With access to this information, they can extort money from the company, they can sell that information for money, and they can blackmail the company as well. And so we need to stop the criminals breaking into the computers. A data theft attack has several reasons. The criminals may be looking to steal information from a company that has a resale value on the dark web. That might be a defense company weapon design. It might be the drug information that a pharmaceutical company has developed. It might be a product design from a manufacturing company. It might be sensitive information, in which case the criminals can blackmail or extort money from the company, healthcare company, patient records, for example, personal information. That type of information can be used for extortion. Accounting firm customer financials is another example. Government department taxpayer information, one more example. So these are all methods of extortion. Now, one particular type of extortion which is increasing very quickly is ransomware. The thief breaks into the computer system, steals a copy of the data, and then locks the business data. And so the business comes to a halt. The computer systems don't work. There's no way of invoicing, no way of tracking sales, nothing works. Then once the data is locked, the criminal is going to demand a ransom. We're going to put a display on a screen demanding a payment in Bitcoin to provide the key to unlock the data. Unfortunately, in around maybe 35% of cases, once the ransom is paid, the key is not provided. Even worse, in 10% of cases, the ransom is paid, the key is provided, but then the criminal demands a second ransom or blackmail by threatening to expose the data. That's called double extortion. Often criminals don't need technical skills. They hire technical skills from younger people who do have the technical skills. The cost to a business of a cyber attack can be very large. First of all, the payment of the ransom to release the data, and maybe a second payment as part of a blackmail process. The cost of recovering the business data if the criminal does not release the data. The cost of not having a business operational during this period. There's a reputational cost for the business that's attacked. They may lose customer trust and lose customers. If the cyber criminal sells or exposes the business data, there's a risk of lawsuits by clients of the business. And finally, healthcare businesses, after being attacked, have a legal obligation to report a data breach to the Department of Health and Human Services, and possibly pay a fine if they're not in compliance with the HIPAA security rule. Some statistics are highlighted there, 120% increase of business ransomware attacks year over year. A business on average is not operational for 12 days during a ransomware attack. 20% of global cyber crimes in 2022 were due to ransomware. And worryingly, 47% of ransomware attacks were to businesses in the US. Businesses in the US are the biggest target of the cyber criminals. 82% of ransomware attacks in 2021 were to smaller businesses. In 2023, that number will have increased. So 22% of small businesses increased cybersecurity spending in 2021, which means that 78% of small businesses did not increase cybersecurity spending. So 51% of small businesses have no cybersecurity measures. And another piece of data, 85% of successful ransomware attacks are made via phishing, and I'm going to explain what phishing is. And finally, 60% of executives believe that the ransomware threat is exaggerated. So who are the cyber criminals? Well, there are young hackers, young people with technical skills. Often they seek to cause disruption, but maybe they're looking to steal information to sell. There are criminal or mafia type groups that are skilled in theft and extortion. They don't have the technical skills, but they hire the technical skills from people who do. And they're usually located in countries outside the reach of the USA, what we call rogue countries. There are also rogue states which sponsor groups, and they have financial, political, and military objectives. And so there are countries which attack businesses for that reason. And the payments are always demanded in cryptocurrency, which is difficult to trace. And so it's really impossible once a ransom has been paid to get that ransom returned. Which businesses are targets of the cyber attacks? Well, there are several characteristics which your business may fall into one of these areas. Usually the business has more than 10 computer users, but less than 500 employees. IT is usually outsourced to a service provider. There's no one in the business with IT skills. The business has a computer system to manage data, and that data and applications are stored on local servers inside the business. The data might include business financial information and sensitive customer information, and may even have proprietary information. The business probably has limited cybersecurity, maybe a firewall, but certainly no two-factor authentication and no cybersecurity best practices. A lot of the computers used in the business are connected to a local area network, but there are some computers that are connecting remotely. Finally, a lot of attacks are not reported because businesses want to avoid bad publicity after paying the ransom. The list of businesses is really covering every type of business in the USA. Healthcare, education, law firms, accounting firms, financial services, distributors, retailers, insurance, hospitality, travel firms, logistic, NGO, charities are not exempt, real estate, construction software, manufacturing, auto dealers, restaurant chains, pharmaceuticals, and casinos. Now, one of the characteristics of a cyber attack is that the criminals may look at their business financials first before deciding if it's worthwhile attacking the business, and if it is, deciding how much to extort from the business. And so that's one thing that the criminals can figure out before demanding a ransom. Healthcare is the number one victim for ransomware extortion. Large healthcare businesses usually have very good cybersecurity. Hospital groups, they've implemented what we call the HIPAA security rule, which requires two-factor authentication and has a lot of protection for the data. Smaller healthcare businesses don't have these types of protections. And furthermore, if they're hit with ransomware, they're going to pay the extortion demand quickly because they're very concerned about unlocking patient records. A healthcare company also has to report any data breach to the Department of Health and Human Services and identify how many patient records were breached. Educational institutions are also a victim. They're number 2 on the list. They're easy to attack because educational organizations don't allocate the resources to cybersecurity, and the information stolen is student records. That's personal information, and maybe sold on the dark web for the purposes of identity theft. So any business that holds sensitive information and depends on access to the information can be a victim. Examples: law offices, accountants, financial advisors, distributors, manufacturers. It's noted there at the bottom that big businesses really protect themselves very well against cyber attacks. And so the focus of the criminals is towards the smaller businesses. How many businesses are at risk? Well, the USA, according to government statistics, has just over 33 million small businesses. And these small businesses employ about half the US workforce. Most of the small businesses don't have IT specialists on staff, and they rely on IT service providers. Around half of them have a firewall installed, so half of them don't have a firewall. Almost none of the smaller businesses have protection against any type of password theft or phishing attacks. And the reasons they don't are varied. Maybe they say that there are no products available, or the products cost too much. There's a lack of awareness about cybersecurity methods, and a lack of skilled professionals to install the cyber protection that the businesses need. We have a situation where many businesses have to comply with cybersecurity standards. Any business, for example, that accepts credit card payments has to comply with what we call the PCI DSS, the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. Any healthcare business, and that is not just healthcare providers, that's insurers, any business which holds information about patients, has to comply with the HIPAA security rule. That's the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. The government recommends that all businesses incorporate what is called the NIST Cybersecurity Framework. That's the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And in fact, government contractors have an obligation to incorporate that security framework. And there are stronger cybersecurity methods that have to be implemented by defense contractors. All those rules require two-factor authentication to access the personal information. One of the options that businesses have is cybersecurity insurance. This is extremely valuable, just like property insurance, theft insurance. If the business has a cyber attack, the insurers will compensate the company. However, the insurers have a checklist of items that they would like the company to implement before they will issue the insurance. For example, staff cybersecurity awareness training. They want to know that the company has an internet firewall. They want to know that the company has two-factor authentication. They want to plan to install security patches, and they also want to see that antivirus software is installed. And finally, they want the company to have a tested recovery plan. And if a claim is made, the insurers will only pay the claim if the cybersecurity measures have been maintained. Now, how do cyber criminals attack? This is a little bit more technical, but it's worthwhile business owners taking a look at this to understand how their businesses are susceptible to attack. Now, cyber criminals use two methods of attack. One is an external attack, and the other is an internal attack. The external attack means that the criminal is going to try and attack the business via the internet. And if the business has a firewall, that type of attack will be blocked. We already know that half the businesses, small businesses in the USA, don't have firewalls, and so they're susceptible to an external attack. The internal attack is a little bit different. This requires the criminal to get access somehow inside the network. And that can be done with a number of techniques. One is password theft. And so the criminal will steal a password and then is able to log in to that network remotely. Another one is a phishing attack, which I'll explain shortly, where the criminal can take over a computer inside the business. It's worthwhile noting that for these two types of attack, internal attack, password theft and phishing, the firewall does not protect against this type of attack. So 25% of successful cyber attacks are in external, and the victims, unfortunately, are businesses that don't have a firewall to protect them. When a firewall is installed, it also has what we call a VPN server, a virtual private network server, which means that remote connections to the network can be encrypted. And that is another method of securing the external access to the network. Around 75% of cyber attacks are internal, password theft and phishing. The password theft, the criminal is able to steal a password and then use that password to get access remotely to the business network. The phishing attack, and that's phishing with a PH, is a technique whereby the criminal is able to install a software on a computer inside the network, which gives the criminal remote access to that computer. The software is called a Trojan virus. And these types of attacks require a special type of technology called zero trust network access. This is a technology which is complementary to the firewall and adds the ability to block password theft and phishing. We may think that password theft is very difficult to do, but in fact, it's remarkably easy. We saw examples a few weeks back. 2 casinos in Las Vegas were attacked, Caesars Palace and MGM. And that attack was done through password theft. The criminals looked at LinkedIn to get the profiles of employees of the company. They then called the tech support pretending to be one of the employees, and they had lost a password. Tech support gave the person a new password, and so that person, that criminal, was able to log into the network. The password theft can be stopped by two-factor authentication, and that is a technique whereby we use to access our bank information. We get a code from a mobile phone that we enter after the password has been entered into the computer. Now, unfortunately for these casinos, well, Caesars Entertainment paid a $15 million ransom. MGM Resorts paid a ransom. We don't know how much, probably around $15 million as well. So not having two-factor authentication cost these companies a lot of money. The phishing technique, which I've mentioned, is something that we see on a daily basis. We get fake emails pretending to be from some supplier, some bank, a credit card company, a government department. The emails have a message which describes some problem, which can be solved by clicking a link. Now, what these fake emails have in common is that when the link is clicked, then the message is sent to the criminal's computer to download the Trojan virus. And that is then installed on the computer. The Trojan virus then gives the criminal remote access to that computer. This diagram illustrates that process in detail. The staff member will click the link, installs the Trojan virus on the computer. The virus then communicates with the criminal to request instructions. The criminal then sends the hacking commands, the instructions to hack into the data server. Once the server has been accessed, the data has been stolen and encrypted, the criminal will then put a ransom message on the user computer and demand a payment to provide a key to unlock the data. Remember that this type of attack cannot be blocked by the firewall, and also password theft cannot be blocked by the firewall. And so we need a different technology to block this type of attack, and that's the zero trust network access. We should remember that business server passwords don't stop a cyber attack. If we have a Microsoft server with Active Directory login, the user of the computer can't connect to the network until the password is provided, the Active Directory password. Unfortunately, once the Trojan virus is installed on the computer, that computer has a physical access to the network. The criminal does not need the login for the computer. The criminal is going to, through the network, look for the server and then look for the type of operating system and evaluate how that operating system can be attacked. This is what the criminals call exploits. And they rely on known failures in the operating system software, which can be exploited to get access to the server. And this is very common when server operating systems have not been updated and patched, or maybe application software has not been updated with patches. And once again, the zero trust network access technology can prevent this happening. How does a business know when a cyber attack is in progress? Well, there is no way of knowing by observing computers. Attackers are careful not to alert any computer user. In many cases where data theft has occurred, the criminals had access to the computer system for several months. And the attack is only noticed when some server stops working or some application software stops working, usually discovered by accident. The only way to detect an attack is to monitor the network traffic, to set up a series of rules in order to identify an intrusion or a rule breach, and then alert IT staff in order to investigate what's happening. And once again, this is the zero trust network access that provides this type of checking. Well, thank you for watching this video. We appreciate that you want to know more about how to protect your business using cybersecurity. We have other videos which are available on our website, which may be of value to you, so please check them out. And we'll see you next time.